mathematical shot at the title tonight, only the top 4 are realistically feasible. Even then, the gap that Rumsey has built leaves everyone else on the back foot. A score of young competitors are eager and willing to grab themselves fantastic prizes that could help their real-world racing careers. We'll see who walks away with it as we get ready to watch Round 5 of the CSI Shocks Fall Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Christian Challoner. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. It's fitting that we wrap things up here at the Chili Bowl. Midget Racing holds its self-proclaimed Super Bowl here every winter. But this is a minuscule and punishing circuit for dirt racers. Without much room to wiggle around, let's get into the nooks and crannies of this track.
Yeah, quarter-mile indoor racetrack, extremely difficult. 10-second lap time, so really quick around here. 6 degrees of banking to help these guys out, but as you can see here, it slicks up pretty fast. But now we'll hand you over to the lap guide to see what it's like to get around this place.
Welcome to the Chili Bowl. Located at the Tulsa Expo Center in Oklahoma, racers from around the country across multiple disciplines come together to bear witness to what has been dubbed the Super Bowl of midget racing. This quarter mile of indoor track has been playing host to the Chili Bowl since 1987. What makes this place a little unique is the clay that once covered the adjacent fairgrounds is used for the Chili Bowl. This quarter-mile track is not affected by adverse weather or drying from the wind or the sun, allowing the dirt masters every year to work their magic. And when those dirt guys work their magic, the track comes alive. 6 degrees of banking in the tight corners makes so the action is non-stop. You don't have many places to hide, and mistakes can take out several cars very fast. The lower banking really makes drivers lean on every bit of talent and mechanical grip that they can find. Dedication, focus, and even a touch of bravery is the magic recipe to find success around the Chili Bowl. It is quite amazing to sit back and think that one of the best dirt tracks in the nation lies inside a big barn in Oklahoma. The Chili Bowl draws in massive crowds, insane car counts, and the best dirt drivers in the world. This has been our guide to the Chili Bowl. Enjoy the show.
That should give you an idea of just how tight it is around here with it all being indoors. Let's take a look at some of the stats of this place, though, real quick with our track graphic. Of course, as we mentioned, it is a quarter mile in length, and it does have that tiny little bit of banking on it, but there's really no place to hide, like we heard from Bryant there in the track guide. So expect drivers to find trouble very easily around this Oklahoma track. Now, let's also take a look at the championship because, well, this is the final round, and this is the most important race of the season, essentially. Jonathan Schaefer, Corey Day, and Bryce Lucius, are relatively close to Logan Rumsey, but after last round, Rumsey, having separated himself by 30 points to the nearest competitor, really only has to get a solid result today, and it'll be tough for anybody to overcome him in the points. Eddie Hartley is mathematically in it. The max amount of points that a driver can get is 84, so Eddie really needs everybody in front of him to trip up severely to really take away the top prize. Now, of course, in case we have new viewers in this series, Christian, we have race details. Why don't you go over it for our viewers?
Yeah, so it's obviously round 5 of 5 of this series, and we're going to be using the Dirt Midget here at the Chili Bowl. Big setups as per usual in this series, and the way this works is we're going to have 12 guys will advance in qualifying straight to the main, and then we'll have heats to advance the next 6, so there'll be 18 that will go through to the feature. And the top 12 will also be inverted.
So it'll be interesting to see how drivers want to do qualifying, because I think that's going to be a bigger talking point here than at any other track that we've raced at so far this season, Christian. We were talking about it in the pre-race, that passing is difficult, it's tight, and it's cramped around here. So you keep talking about maybe trying to pull some shenanigans and put yourself a little bit at the back in qualifying so that you get put back in the front. Is that even more likely to be seen here?
Well, I think it's difficult, especially around here, because being inside that top 12 is definitely where you want to be. And obviously, if you try and intentionally kind of slow your lap up a bit, then you're going to run into the chance that you'll fall into that 13 to 18 kind of bracket, and then you're going to have a really tough time because you're going to have to run the heat, and then once you've ran that, you're still going to have to pass 12 cars. So I think we've seen drivers in this series pull off some impressive stuff, especially when they've started deep in the pack and come through. I don't know how much of that we're going to see here tonight. It's extremely difficult to pass. I would say if I could pick anywhere to qualify, I'd pick probably about 6th, because at least that way you're definitely going to start right around there, and that's kind of the best of both worlds and the least risk if you can make it happen.
We'll see if anybody tries for that. You can see with it being such a short lap around here, they've already slicked up the track here in practice as the rubber has been laid down all across it, and the drivers are way up against the wall. We just got a few more minutes here in the qualifying. Of course, usually we talk about the weather, but here that really doesn't make a difference. That's kind of one of the unique things about this place here, Christian, is even though we've mostly been racing at night, and so the sun beating down hasn't had that great of an effect. I mean, there's no wind, no sun, no nothing in here. It's all indoors.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique racetrack, both in real life and especially here on iRacing as well. It's obviously a track where normally we're used to seeing a lot of weather effects at the outdoor tracks, and here, there kind of isn't any. Obviously, you've got the normal sort of air and track temperature as well as humidity, but there's obviously no wind at play, and the difference we see going through the day to night transitions and so on is just not a factor here at all. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier for these guys to practice. They know exactly what they're getting into. There's no curveballs with the weather.
The other thing that I find interesting about this circuit, we see it a couple other dirt tracks here on iRacing, but not many. If you watch the inside here, just came off of it, did Bryce Lucius, there's that little berm. You can sometimes catch the white line that demarcates it, essentially. Helps you kind of see where it is. I've noticed that a lot of drivers, that the cars seem to get incredibly upset, Christian, even if they just give it the slightest of touch. I mean, what is that going to mean for the racing down there on the low side?
Well, I think really that berm down there is pretty much the equivalent of, say, the tire stacks that we've seen at other racetracks, where if you hit it, then it definitely destabilizes the car a lot. And in some cases, we see guys, especially if they hit it, say, past about halfway in the corner towards sort of the exit, it'll pop the car into a wheelie, and then they'll have definite problems, especially if they're in a side-by-side coming down the straightaway. So I think that's definitely going to be something we need to watch out for. We've seen in the past races guys clipping things down at the bottom of the track, and it's really destroying their races, and I think that berm is essentially going to do the same here tonight.
So we watch Stenzel work a little bit of side-by-side racing, getting some practice, and then that'll be certainly important. You know, we talked about the prizes that the drivers will be fighting for. They do have more than just prizes for the top finisher in the championship. In fact, 3 drivers will get something at the end of today. Third place is going to get a CSI apparel gift pack, and that's about $50 value, and then a $100 shock package discount for real-world racing for their cars out on the dirt track. So about $150 worth going to third place in the points. Then in second place, it's a little bit more, about a $100 apparel gift pack, and then $250 shock package for second place. Even more worth, more bang for your buck there for whoever finished is in second. So they can't go away too disappointed. First place, get this. They get a Samsung tablet, and that'll have PitLogic automatically installed on it. That's a bit of software that'll help them set up the car in real life. And they get a $500 shock package for their real car. It's about $750 worth for the winner to come away with, and that means everything for a young racer here trying to get their career started. And maybe they could find themselves one day racing at this very track in one of these midget dirt cars. So we'll keep an eye out for them. There have been some great talents out here throughout this season, Christian. This is the 14 and under, and so it amazes me really how young some of them are and the talent they are showing at this age.
Yeah, I mean, especially guys like Logan Rumsey, Corey Day, and Jonathan Schaefer, obviously our top 3 right now. And Corey Day was the championship leader in the last round and had that mishap under the yellow that really took him out of that race, put him down in third. But I think even those three aside, we've seen some good racing in this series, and we've seen some guys who've been really impressive, especially in such a difficult car. This is probably the hardest dirt car I think on iRacing, and they've had some tricky tracks, and I think they've all done a really good job of trying to show us kind of how good these guys really are.
I have to imagine that a lot of those drivers out there who even haven't finished within the top 3 here towards the end of the season have earned valuable experience racing against others here in the virtual world without having to tear up any equipment in the process. So hopefully everybody comes away with a little bit of something to take away in the end and take to the track once they get back out there when the racing season comes back around. This is a bit unique with it being in the winter here in Oklahoma. They hold this race in the real world. Just coming up very soon, we should say, out in Oklahoma. Just about 2 minutes left here in the warm-up. This is not qualifying right now that you're watching. This is just the practice that the drivers are getting a chance to try and get themselves used to how things will run. Before we get to the qualifying, let's go over the qualifying details, which are brought to you by PitLogic. PitLogic is the most comprehensive chassis and shock setup application on the market. They are available on Google Play or the Apple App Store. You can check them out at competitionsuspension.com/CSI-logic-app. There's the details there on screen. They are going to get 3 laps to qualify. And as we mentioned a little bit earlier, the top 12 will automatically be sent to the A main. That means, of course, that with 18 drivers that have shown up here, we will see 6 of them find their way into the heat to sort out the back of the field. So essentially a second qualifying, if you will, with that heat race. Track state will be reset, so even though it is very slicked up right now with all the warm-up, it'll be down to 25%, and then from there, they'll have to deal with that track staying the same all the way through. It will not be reset. Whatever happens to it, we'll stick with it through the heat race and into the A main. We're watching from on board Eddie Hartley. I love this little paint scheme. I didn't notice this before. That is a great little detail that Dougie's Cam has picked up on his midget. That is a great little nod to old warplanes there on his machine.
Yeah, he's definitely got one of the best paint schemes out there and pretty recognizable. Obviously, we don't really see the shark mouth until we're kind of on the side, but yeah, that's definitely a cool looking car.
So just a few seconds left here in the warm-up. If you haven't got a feel for the track, well, you're going to have to just fly with it from here on out. It's going to get a little bit dusty and a little bit murky here indoors, but thankfully, we don't have to really turn the air on and make sure and get any exhaust out of the building since we're all working in the virtual world here. Checkered flag comes out and qualifying gets ready to go. Curious to see here with the track resetting, drivers having to go back to a little bit more grip, Christian, if they'll get faster as the qualifying goes, since they get 3 tries at it out here.
Yeah, and we've seen in a lot of the other tracks that what guys are doing is they're using the first 1 or 2 laps to kind of wind the car up to speed and then sort of putting it all on the line for that last 3rd lap. But I feel like this track is so tricky that I'm not sure I necessarily want to do that. I feel more confident just trying to get all 3 laps and kind of hoping that one of the 3 was a good time, you know. And I see a couple of guys trying different things, some running all the way down on the berm, others running actually right near up the wall. So I think we've definitely got a good spread of approaches here, and it'll be interesting to see who makes this happen the best.
Just getting our first times in now. Jurczyk on the provisional pole, waiting for a couple others to get times in. They've got plenty with 10 to 11 second laps and 5 minutes to do it. Logan Rumsey is now up at the top. Our championship leader is just about a 10th ahead of Parker Leak. That's a monster gap here to track this short. Leak actually coming around for his 3rd lap right now as we watch him cross the line. He doesn't go quicker, and he's beat by Bryce Lucius, who gets close to Rumsey, but not close enough to beat him.
Yeah, and I think that's really Logan Rumsey sort of stamping his authority on this. Obviously, he's got that big points lead, and we saw last week he was being quite conservative in the race, and I think this week he's just decided that his best bet is to qualify as well as he can and then really just bank the points and try and take the championship that way.
Lauren Imig is coming around. She's just set her first lap. That's going to be a 11.5. That puts her down in 12th, which would be the pole if things don't change. Not quicker on the second lap for the number 12. Let's see what the third lap holds. They come around very, very fast, just barely clipping the berm, getting up on a wheelie across the line. That's not going to be quicker for the number 12, but that will be pole. And I don't think anybody can overtake. Nope, Alex Rupert is just coming out.
Yeah, Rupert still to do his lap, and I think we saw right there with Lauren what can happen if you catch that berm. It just pops the car in a huge wheelie, especially when the track's still got some bite down there, and I think, especially at the start of the heat, we're going to have to watch out for that.
So Corey Day went up to second while we weren't looking. That puts him, well, not on the front row, but the 12th row, the 6th row, actually, I should say, is Rupert. Just coming around to set a time, and that number 5, I was wrong. It's 19 cars that I'm seeing out here. And 11.1 puts him up to 4th, and that means Eddie Hartley is now going to be on pole in the main.
And it's interesting that we actually do have 19 here tonight. For all the other races in the series, we've had 18 or under, and that's only pushed us to running one heat. So it'll be interesting to see if we have to run a second heat tonight.
Yeah, we'll watch out for that. Third lap does not go any quicker for Rupert, so he will stay in the 5th position. Here's your drivers that advance to the A main automatically. Logan Rumsey with the fastest time is followed by Corey Day with Bryce Lucius starting in 3rd. Then it's Alex Rupert in 4th, followed by Parker Leak in P5. Brennan Crouch will be in 6th. 7th goes to Jonathan Schaefer. Zach Jurczyk in 8th position. Rylan Gray in 9th. Then it's Seth Stenzel in 10th. 11th, just outside of that top 10, is Grayson Springer. Eddie Hartley, the last one to make it through into the A main automatically. Waiting for that time to work its way through, and then we will eventually cycle through to what could possibly be the first of 2 heats. It'll be very small heats if that's the case.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that for the first time we're actually going to see a driver going home. Obviously, we've said before only 18 will progress to the main, so with 19 in here, unfortunately, 1 will go home, and I think that puts a greater emphasis on our heat race. Normally, we've seen it just kind of set the back end of the grid, but this time we're actually racing our way in.
See, getting some beautiful shots as we see the virtual crowd all packed in around here. And one thing to watch out for, we've already seen it a bit in practice here, Christian, is that the drivers do have to watch out with how they try and catch the car if they get a little bit of out of hand, because there's a few little spots that you can basically plow into it and come to a sudden halt.
Yeah, especially when guys start running the top, you see those openings in the wall. We've seen them catch out a couple of guys in practice, running pretty much as high as they can get, especially when the track slicks off. We've seen that at other tracks, and we're seeing it again here tonight. And obviously, if you clip the right rear into that wall, it's going to end your night almost immediately on the spot.
As the session now moves over, and it will only be 1 heat, it looks like. So the cars start to grid up behind the pace truck. We'll have 7 drivers take place. And as you said, I do believe only 1 of them will go home and won't make it into the main. Trying to see, I think, yes, all 3 of our top contenders did make it through into the A main through the qualifying. Our starting grid is going to be Lauren Immig on the front row with Ryan Timms in 2nd. Colin Mitchell will be starting 3rd, and Christian Reed Whitney will be starting P4.
Yeah, then we got Cale Coons in 5th and Connor D. Wolf in 6th, with Lincoln Smith starting 7th.
All 7 halves showed up here. As they come around for the first pace lap, they'll get 2 of them on this quarter miler. So it was amazing to me thinking quarter mile. I remember running track in high school, and that seemed so big, and yet here it seems so tiny compared to these little cars. So around they come, being released. Immig has control. Green flag is out. Good start for Immig. Timms all the way up to the high side, trying to get the launch, maybe looking to go underneath, but there's a car below. That was Colin Mitchell. Mitchell can't quite get in there. Still going to try the low side in the number 3. Stays in 3rd place. Your leader still Immig, and Timms in 2nd, but now Timms got to run on the low side.
Yeah, we got a bit of crossover between the lines here. You can see Tim's making the bottom work right now and is scored as the leader this time across the stripe. Only 15 laps here in the heat. Obviously goes past very, very quickly though.
And no cautions here either. Tim's couldn't quite make it stick. Imig still holding the number 9 off as they come across. Resets himself up, so Ryan maybe could have another go in the last few laps of this race. Behind them, Coons holds 4th, and it's Smith, Whitney, and Wolf is the one who will be dropped if things stay as they are.
Yeah, Wolf about 7/10 back from 6th place right now. Obviously 10 laps for him to make that up, and we'll have to see if he can do that.
As Imig is now under pressure, the number 9 starting to gain once again. Could we see a little bit of a crossover move at some point here? Tries to carry the speed off the corner. Looks down for the inside. Slide job up to the outside. Imig goes back down low. Gets the shot off. Gets underneath. But can the number 12 get back to the front spot? Not quite. It looks like we might have a new leader in Ryan Timms.
Yeah, it looked like Tim's just got it and Lauren, but then we've got lapped cars getting in the way here.
Oh, and Lawrence manages to sneak through, but just barely. The 87 and the 78 actually get together and spin each other off track as they get lapped. But right now, Timms is your leader with 7 laps to go. Emig giving chase.
Yeah, a big gap now for Emig to run down, but obviously we saw there what the difference lap traffic can make, and there's no reason why it can't happen again. We caught them within 10 laps this time. It's possible with those guys fighting as hard as they are that we'll catch them again.
Don't count out Colin Mitchell back there in 3rd place. A little bit of a touch to the berm from Lauren Imig. Once again, the number 12 just barely touching it like we saw in qualifying. Seems to be slowing Lauren up. And then down low, once again, Connor Wolf looking to get lapped. He's going to try and stay out of the way. Not many places to try and put the car. The 00 gets a little bit of a bump, but Imig is able to get through.
Yeah, and just looking at the board right now, I believe Lincoln Smith is out of this race. He's currently scored 3 laps down.
Yeah, it looks like you're correct. So the rest of the drivers that are still running should be able to get through. Reed Whitney currently the last one of them. 2 laps to go as Ryan Timms now comes around. Oh, a little bit of a hit to the wall from Lauren Imig. But Timms takes the white flag. If he can keep the car safe, the number 9 will take victory here in the heat race. Taking it all the way up to the wall. Lauren trying the low line. It's not going to work as the 9 wins the heat race. Imig gets through in 2nd. Coons takes 3rd. Looks like Colin Mitchell lap down P4. Connor Wolf in 5th. And then Reed Whitney in P6. That's going to take us to our A main today, so let's give you the main details, which is brought to you by CSI Shocks. CSI has become the shock of choice for many of today's top professionals. They have won over 5,000 races as well as many track, regional, and national championships around the world. They are located online at competitionsuspension.com. Give them a look. It's going to be 40 laps here in the A main. The setups of the car are fixed here in this race, and they do have yellow flags in this 40-lap race. We'll see how many they can manage to get under green. And what's worse for the drivers if they don't like a slick track here, Christian, you can see they've got 5 minutes of practice. That track will again cycle over in its current state once it finishes to the A main. So we saw how quick it got rubbered in. Slicked up over in the practice session that lasted 15 minutes. 5 more here is just going to make it wild once we get to the green flag.
Yeah, and I think the thing here as well is that obviously you've got all 18 are going to be out on track trying to get as many laps in as they can, and 5 minutes, 10-second laps, it's going to slick up incredibly quickly, and then we're going to have a really interesting main. Obviously we saw in the heat there that already it looked like the top line was the preferred, especially for defensive kind of driving, and I think this is only going to push the track even further that way, and I think the initial start's going to be extremely interesting to see how the guys deal with the slick.
And we saw in the heat race that even with only 7 cars on track, lap traffic became a problem probably under 10 laps. If we do get that green flag racing, 18 cars out there, actually we may have lost Lincoln Smith, so it looks like it might be only 17. But even with 17, Christian, my goodness, they're going to find the back of the field in what, maybe about 4 laps here?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we tend to see a little bit of a spread out effect happen on the start, but this is kind of almost the equivalent of, say, a Bristol, where pretty much the front of the field catches the back of the field almost instantaneously, and then you just have this big long kind of snake of cars, and it's gonna come down to who can manage that the best, I think, especially if we see green flag running, and I really hope we do, because I think it adds an interesting element in terms of mental thinking as to which line you want to be on, and obviously we saw in the heat race there that it influenced the race definitely.
And also comes into effect of, well, who knows their competitors? Who's watched how others race and what kind of lines they tend to run, how they handle the car? Can they use that to their advantage when trying to lap the others, knowing who to give space and knowing who they can run up close to if they're lapping them? You see a lot getting used to being around each other here during the practice. Just about 2 minutes left to go on it. We already told you a little bit earlier about the prizes, but what about how they get those prizes? Well, it's going to be 70 points for a win around here. They've already earned some points so far this race. Qualifying, the top 6 do get points, 6 for first, and then it goes 1 point down all the way to 1 point for 6th place. And then in that heat, they got 8 points for first, and then it went all the way down to 1 point for, or 2 points for 7th in this case, 1 point for 8 if we would have had 8th. And then they don't have a consolation here, so they're not able to get the points there. From the 70 points for the winner, it'll go down by 3 points for the top 10. And then from 11th through 20th, which would be the last of the field, will go down by 2 points each. So we'll try and keep track of that, try to tell you how things are going. But Logan Rumsey already having gotten himself a nice few points in qualifying, has put himself even farther away from those trying to catch him.
Yeah, I really do think that Rumsey's play here has got to be to just stay out of trouble. Obviously, you saw what happened last week with Corey Day, while Corey was actually the race leader at the time of that incident. So you're not safe anywhere. Anything can happen, especially on a track like this as well, as we see guys having more incidents in the practice session. But I think when it comes to what Logan needs to do to lock this up, obviously he has that big points advantage. He really does just need to keep it clean, and I think the title will be his.
Continuing on their way around out here. The track kicking up a lot of dust. I've seen a few drivers meet the sandbags out in some of those spots we were talking about, where they've got to block off and try and protect some of the physical parts of the building around here. Haven't seen didn't see anybody in the race actually launch it out of the arena here. I did see in practice at least one person managed to launch their car a little bit up and over the fence. These things get going very quickly in a very short time, so you hit one little bump or something the wrong way, and it is easy to get them airborne. As the checkered flag now comes out, we're going to get the grid here in a second for the feature, as they're going to line up behind the pace truck. So let's go through your starting order here. Brenham Crouch is going to be on the pole, with Parker Leak starting in second position. Alex Rupert will be starting in third, with Bryce Lucius in the fourth position. Corey Day, P5 for him. Logan Rumsey, currently leading the championship points, will be starting in sixth. Jonathan Schaefer in seventh for him. Zach Jurczyk in eighth, with Rylan Gray in ninth. Top 10 is going to be rounded out by Seth Stenzel.
And then in 11th, we've got Grayson Springer with Eddie Hartley with that awesome-looking car starting 12th tonight. Ryan Timms won the heat starting 13th, with Lauren Emick had that great fight starting 14th. Then we got Cale Coons in 15th, Colin Mitchell 16th, Connor D. Wolf in 17th, and Reed Whitney will be the end of the field in 18th.
Good thing these are hardy cars, because we had a little bit of a stack up there in the back of the pack as they started off to follow the pace truck. They're on the second lap already, and Crouch is going to have control of the field. Watching to see them get lined up nice and tight, packed up here for the start. Truck is already in. Crouch waiting to give the go on the field. Green flag is out. He gets on the loud pedal. Ooh, challenge for second place already. In fact, challenge for first for Fit at the number 5. They get together, and immediately to the outside, we have a wreck, a few cars involved. I see Bryce Lucius in there, one on its lid. That was Rupert going up the inside, getting into Crouch. Crouch hit the wall, wound up turned over, and unfortunately had to take a tow. So from the pole, already winding up in the pits. Jurczyk also wound up upside down. I mentioned Bryce Lucius, the number 32, was turned around, but otherwise I think everybody else managed to get away from it.
Yeah, definitely looked like we had some cars involved with that, but for the most part, everybody behind that was able to get away. Unfortunate for Bryce Lucius, it kind of happened right in front of him, and then he got clipped around, so he's been sent all the way to the back, but he is still running, so definitely better position for him than, say, Brenham Crouch, who is effectively out of this race.
We're going to get restarted, but real quick, it's going to be Leak, Rupert, Day, Rumsey, and Schaefer who are at the top of the field on this restart. Leak given control now by the pace truck. Green flag waves. Number 5 once again going hard at the start. And it looks like Rupert is going to get a bit of his own medicine as Parker Leak down low manages to hold on to the lead. That sends the 5 back a little bit. The 18 of Corey Day going down to the bottom side of the track. We've got a caution. I think Wolf involved in this one. Looks like this started with the number 2 of Coons. Got a little bump from the 32 down through turns 3 and 4. And that sent them around. Actually didn't get too many drivers involved, it looked like.
Yeah, it's just one of those deals where if there's any kind of contact, especially on these very, very short tracks with these cars, it tends to immediately kick them 90 degrees to the racing surface.
Back live now. And so the order has changed around a little bit. Leak in first, Day second, Rupert third. Logan Rumsey, who still leads the points and is looking good because even though he is behind Day on track, he's still, I think, well within range to seal it if he stays where he is. Schaefer is behind him. So Schaefer's got to hustle and try and get by Rumsey as they go 2 by 2. Let's see. Waiting for the green flag. Leak got a decent start last time. Green waves. Oh, big crossover from the 18 of Corey Day. Can he manage to keep it in front as he slides a little bit wide? Yes, he can. That gives him the lead. As Parker Leak now overtaken by Rupert, who gets into second. He got really swamped on that restart. And below him, Logan Rumsey makes a little bit of contact. They start to tangle. Rumsey actually gets on the berm.
Yeah, we see a wicked move by Corey there on the restart. We've seen him be really, really strong with his restarts this season. And then again, showing you why he is a championship contender.
Still being chased by Rupert, who's trying that low line as Day goes high. Back in third, Parker Leak recovering from his bad start as Schaefer and Rumsey still fighting for their position in fourth position. And in fact, they almost came together there down the backstretch. Corey Day now catching up to Leak, but he's blocked down at the inside. We got a caution. Ooh, and it's Lauren Emig up and on the roof. Don't think that car is going to get flipped back over, so that's going to definitely be a tow.
Yeah, we saw it just disappear from the surface there as it takes a tow. And again, that's unfortunate, but we're seeing it a lot. Anytime there is an incident, especially in these cars, it tends to flip them over, and you immediately lose at least one lap.
Emig already has the number, has the last name upside down on the front of the car, but it looks like our replay, unfortunately, won't work on that one as we had a little bit of a connection problem as the accident happened. So Corey Day now your leader. Rupert is in second. Leak is fallen down to third from that restart. Rumsey and Schaefer, boy, those two fighting very, very hard. And I have to think that Rumsey is aware that he only needs to be near Schaefer. He doesn't need to even be in front of him here. So I'm shocked that he's fighting as hard as he is.
Well, I think he could fight a little bit harder. We've obviously seen Corey run extremely hard, but grab the lead, and we see him hold the restart very late there.
Yeah, gets the shot off, takes it down low. Just behind him, the number 5 of Rupert holds second. Schaefer with a big shot down into turn 3, almost takes it into the wall, but that's going to be third place as the caution once again reemerges. I think Crouch on this one.
Oh, we had an incident under yellow there as well. In fact, we've had more incidents under yellow.
Yeah, Crouch and Mitchell involved in that one. Looks like also Zach Jurczyk wound up upside down. This happened on the backstretch. Yeah, here you're going to see it. Coming around. Looks like just a case of it's hard to tell what's going on. With 3 wide, they all come into one another, and eventually something had to give. Now, what happened with the under caution incident?
It looked like Logan Rumsey kind of just drove into the corner, and whoever was to his outside, unfortunately, got crushed into the wall.
So green flag already back out. It is Schaefer taking the lead. Rumsey in second. He's going to try and go down low. Almost gets into Schaefer in the process. It's Leak behind them with Timms now back into fourth in the number 9. Our winner in the heat race has certainly found his way forward very well here in the A main. Battle for the lead, though, between Rumsey and Schaefer. 2 contenders for the championship as Schaefer gets it into the wall, but he manages to come away from it.
Yeah, very lucky with that. Popped the right rear in the wall and then had that wheelie down this front stretch, but just able to get away from that as we see a little bit more carnage happening in the back of the pack.
Yeah, and we got a car on its lid. That's going to bring out the caution. Parker Leak, former leader in the race, unfortunately finds himself sent back to the pit lane. This was a single car incident, effectively. He got it into the wall. He had a little bit of help there from Timms. I wonder if the car you saw get hit into the wall during the caution last time was Corey Day, because you just noticed that he's gone.
Yeah, although it does say that he's just, it looks like he's had connection problems rather than actually being removed from the race in an incident, so to speak. But yeah, there was definitely an incident that involved Rumsey under yellow, and I'm still unsure as to who it was that he hit on the outside of him, but they definitely got turned around.
Don't forget, we have an incident limit in this race. 20 incidents and you are out. So some drivers could be disappearing from that too. As they come back to green once again, Schaefer still giving chase on Rumsey. Rumsey holds the low line on the restart. And wow, very quick caution. Rylan Gray looks to be the one for that one.
Yeah, that looked like there was just minor contact in the pack and somebody got turned 90 to the track. It didn't look like it was a really big incident.
Yep, he just turns around. You're going to see here on the replay. Is that Lucius, I think it looked like, that got into him there. Turned him around. Thankfully, it wasn't worse, but we are already on lap 29. So we're going to get restarted, I believe, with about 10 to go. Pressure is starting to be on. Schaefer's got to hope that Rumsey has a real bad problem. A track like this, though, it's not impossible that he could wind up DNF'd in a split second.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've seen it before. We've seen it at the bigger tracks, and we've seen it here tonight where, I mean, on the initial pull on the start, we saw our pole sitter involved. So it can definitely change around very, very quickly, and I don't think Rumsey's safe at this point, but he does have the advantage that he is the restart car, so that definitely plays into his hands.
Let's see how he uses those hands. He's going to come around 3 and 4. Everybody very antsy now on this restart. Green flag is out. The number 41 manages to keep the lead ahead of Schaefer, who's still battling with Hartley down in his low side. Hartley falls back a little bit. Up high, way up high. Ryan Timms trying to ride the rim. See if he can get the shot. Got another caution. Mitchell gets turned around in the number 3. Mitchell got into the back of, looks like Seth Stenzel, and Stenzel, unfortunately, hit the incident limit and is gone.
Yeah, and that's something that we've seen not too many times this season, but obviously we're having a lot more incidents than normal with this track, with how tight it is. And yeah, some guys starting to run up against the incident limit. Now on that restart, Schaefer actually made a really good pull, and I thought he was going to be able to challenge Rumsey on the outside, but just didn't look like the grip was there, and Rumsey was able to clear him before they got down to 3.
And typically, we're criticizing the drivers that try to restart low, but here there's really not much choice, and Rumsey's been doing it beautifully there, as you noticed. So let's see if he can do it one more time. This might be our last caution. We'll see if we get a caution. Hopefully we go green to the end, which now waves now. The 41, oh, and once again, Schaefer very fast on the outside, trying to do it as well as he can, and he's going to be slightly ahead of Rumsey. As they come through 3 and 4, Rumsey gets a nose up in front of him. Now down to 4 laps to go. Still green as the 41 trying to fend off his championship rival. Schaefer at least wants to be able to take a victory as once again he gets to the outside while he hits it hard.
Yeah, that really cost him there. As we see another yellow, and I believe that will end it.
It will indeed. And I can't tell who caused that one, unfortunately. I did not see. We're not going to really have much time to go to the replay, honestly, because even the caution laps go by so quickly. We're 2 to go now as Rumsey comes to catch up to the pace truck. Rumsey is going to come away with the victory, not just the championship. This will be his second A-main win of the season. White flag now waves along with the yellow. Just behind him, it will be Tim Schaefer, fell down to 3rd in the process. What a championship it's been. $750 worth of prizes are going to fall in the lap of Mr. Logan Rumsey. The number 41 takes the win here today at the Chili Bowl. Now, I wasn't able to go back and check to see who it was. Have you had a time, Christian, to try and see what caused that last caution?
No, I haven't, but I would suspect we just kind of saw similar things that we've seen on the previous restarts where it's kind of in the mid-pack. It just really packs up really tight, and it doesn't take a lot of contact, and just a small incident can obviously turn a car 90, and I suspect that was what went on.
Waiting for a few celebratory donuts here from Rumsey, but we'll go to break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to the Chili Bowl. We just watched the season finale for the CSI Shocks Fall Series. This 14 and under series here on Wednesday nights was won by Logan Rumsey, not just here for today's race, but for the championship overall. Ryan Timms took a well-earned second place after starting in 13th here in the A-Main. Jonathan Schaefer, unfortunately, wound up with 3rd, although he was in the running for the win for much of it. Eddie Hartley, how about this, going from 12th to 4th for him, with Colin Mitchell taking a P5. Connor Wolf, 6th for him. He started 17th. Grayson Springer, first driver a lap down, finished 7th. Then you've got drivers who had big problems, 4 laps down, but 8th place for Cale Coons. Bryce Lucius finished 9th, and Seth Stenzel rounds out your top 10.
Then moving on to 11th, we got Rylan Gray, who came home 9 laps down, and Zach Jerzik came home 14 laps down in 12th. These guys had major problems tonight. Parker Leak, we saw him feature up near the front for only a small amount of time tonight. Kemp comes home in 13th. And we got Corey Day with connection problems. He comes home 14th. Alex Rupert in 15th. Reed Whitney in 16th. Lauren Emick in 17th. Brennan Crouch in 18th.
That's our field. Lincoln Smith, of course, was not able to start the A main as he was put out in the heat race, but we've got Logan Rumsey ready to talk to us. Logan, congratulations. Not only did you take victory today, but you also sealed up the championship here with that run. How excited are you to get your hands on that Samsung tablet?
Yeah, I've always wanted to get PitLogic on my phone or something, but it's awesome to get that big of a discount on Shocks and the tablet for PitLogic.
Yeah, I have to imagine this is really going to help your racing career, as this is going to be a nice little bit of equipment. What are you thinking about looking to try and get your hands on or to purchase once you get that prize money for the CSI shop?
We recently just bought 4 brand new CSI Shocks, but we can get another pair for winged or something.
That'll be fantastic. What'd you think of this track, though, trying to race around here with so many cars out here? Very, very tight confines. It looked like you and the others up at the front were having some nice battles, though.
Yeah, it was kind of yellow after yellow, but I always tried to keep it on the bottom and let them wreck up top.
What about the restarts as well? You had to restart on the bottom where it was very, very slicked up by the time you got to that A main. Was it difficult to get the throttle down?
I don't know, you just roll it around there like quarter throttle and sticks.
Certainly seemed to work well for you on those restarts as you rarely gave up the lead. Again, congratulations both on victory and the championship. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, Full Send Racing, Aiden Purdue for spotting me the whole season, and everyone for racing clean, and I'm Garrett for putting on the series, and you guys for broadcasting.
Oh, thank you so much for the kind words. Was Logan Rumsey, our winner in today's race. Up next, we've got Christian Challoner talking to Ryan Timms.
Ryan, you came home second tonight after starting 13th. You must be pretty happy with that, right?
Oh, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it looked like it was definitely a fun race. We saw a lot of action. So a lot of yellows, and restarts were a big feature of the race. Can you talk us through kind of how you approached them and how you kind of made that work for you as you moved up through the field?
Well, I was just trying to keep a good length between me and the guy in front of me on the restart, so I didn't get any contact. But towards the end there, I just went as soon as the leader went and managed to get second barely.
Yeah, it definitely looked like you were behind a good fight there between Logan Rumsey and Jonathan Schaefer, but managed to sneak past Schaefer and come home second. So, yeah, it looks like it worked out tonight pretty well for you. Obviously, qualifying was a little bit maybe away from your race position, but overall a really good night. And how do you find racing at this track? Do you enjoy it? Do you like it? Or is it kind of one of those ones which you're not a great fan of?
No, I like it a lot. It's really fun. But yeah, qualifying wasn't very good, but got back up there, so.
Yeah, man. Well, you did a great job, especially coming from deep in the field at a place like this where it's so hard to pass. And congratulations on your second place, and we'll be glad to see you back here in another season, hopefully soon. And before we let you go, is there anybody that you'd like to thank tonight?
Yeah, just my dad, Western Fire, all of them. That's really it. I don't really have anyone to thank.
All right, man. Well, thank you for coming in and hanging out and letting us know how your race went. We appreciate it.
All right, see you.
We've got third place finisher, second in the championship, Jonathan Schaefer with us as well. Jonathan, coming into this, obviously your main fight was with Logan Rumsey to try and take the championship away from him. So when you found yourself fighting him on track, did that really pick your heart rate up a lot?
I mean, it kind of did. I mean, I didn't really want to wreck him because me and him are teammates. I was just trying to get second because Corey Day was only, I think it was like 5 points behind me, but that really helped me because I think Corey lagged out 10 laps into the race. But it was a good battle between me and Logan there.
Yeah, it seemed like Corey, unfortunately, having some internet problems. Interesting that you note that your teammates there with Logan, because it did look like you two felt very comfortable racing close together. There were some aggressive but fair moves.
Yeah, me and Logan, we've every day we're racing Dirt Midgets together, just having a fun time in our Discord.
Oh, fantastic stuff. Well, you didn't get the top spot, but you still got some prizes. What are you thinking you'll do with the CSI Shocks money once you get it?
I just put them towards my Micro 600 for next season.
Awesome stuff. Well, we look forward to seeing you out on the real track with that gear on your car. And anybody you'd like to thank before you head out here?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Tyler Chalk for helping me out and Full Send Racing.
Great stuff. That was Jonathan Schaefer, third out there with a podium in the final round. One last driver we want to talk to. Christian's caught up with Grayson Springer.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're good, man. I mean, looked like you had a good race tonight. Came home 7th, obviously 1 lap down, but still pretty good result. And if the point standings are correct, we believe that you came home 7th in the championship as well. So a solid season, right?
Yeah, with that 7th place, I got a little bit of damage at the beginning of the race and had to come in the pits for a little bit and get a repair. But other than that, it was a pretty good race. Just kind of had to stay away from all the wrecks and make it through.
Yeah, well, definitely, as we say, looks like you're going to come home 7th in the championship. So pretty solid day, and obviously kind of avoiding the wrecks all season long has led to a good points finish. And if there was to be another season of this, would we be seeing you back in here as to kind of progress forwards and maybe challenge those guys in the top 3?
Of course. This is especially the last season as well. But were both really fun races to run. So.
All right, well, that's great to hear, man. And just before we let you go, what can you tell us a little bit more about your race tonight and kind of who you got to thank for kind of your performance?
Really, the race was all. I had a lot of friends this season of the CSI League that I talked to and had fun with racing it. Precision Motorsports, and that race got really slick and had some friends to help me drive it and help them drive it.
All right. Well, we've had a great time watching you race this season, and we hope to see you back in the future. And congratulations again on the 7th place.
Thank you.
7th place, of course, for Grayson Springer, but it's going to close us out with a big thank you to the sponsors for this season. Of course, thank you goes to CSI Shocks for sponsoring the series as a whole and all the prizes that they have offered up. They can be found at competitionsuspension.com if you want to check out what they can do for you and your real dirt racing. Also, a thank you goes to PitLogic. They can be found at competitionsuspension.com/CSI-logic-app. And again, they are a brilliant application that can help you set up your car if you're looking to do some real world racing. Thanks goes to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Limaland, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Christian, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races and a link to our merchandise store, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Our social media is Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, Instagram, GSRC_Graham. If you do check out that merchandise store, you might want to subscribe to our channel here. Just click the big red button and you will be automatically subscribed and entered into our holiday giveaway. We are giving away a free item to 2 people, one who subscribed during December and one who subscribed before December, and their choice of item from our merchandise store. Hopefully we'll be back for another season, but for now, this is it for the fall series of CSI Shocks. Make sure and watch many of our other series that are coming up on the screen now. Check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.